Hello everybody. Well, I've got a recording here going to show you how to give piano lessons long distance using either Skype or preferably Hangouts-On-Air, which has far better audio, as I'll demonstrate later. This will be a little bit of a long video because I am going to include the Hangouts-On-Air lesson at the end of this one. But initially we just want to get the setup going with Voicemeeter and a host using Cantabile, which is a tremendous host for doing live performance and very lightweight, very solid. Cannot recommend it highly enough, and even the free version is quite impressive. What we're going to be doing is setting up Voicemeeter here as the ASIO device for the host, and you can use a DAW, you could use anything else that will host your VST instruments. Let's go right over to Tools and Options here, however you access your setup, and you'll notice from the drop down list Voicemeeter shows up as an ASIO device, and we're going to choose the one that just simply says Voicemeeter Virtual ASIO. Okay, and 44, decent buffer size for performance. And then audio ports. Down here at the bottom I have the output to speakers main set up just to the VAIO 1 and VAIO 2. And what those are simply these inputs right here, this slider. And a good idea to do in Voicemeeter is to right click and label it right away. There you go. Actually, it's a little bit limited in number of letters, so I'll just say Cantabile. Okay. And this is going to be on this side, is going to be from Skype. So I'll say from Skype or the Hangout-On-Air. So I'll say Skype/HOA. So now it's labeled, and I won't have confusion about where my inputs are coming from on which side. Now mind you, these are inputs. These are the sound coming from these. We're also going to be sending sound out to Skype and the HOA using these B buttons here. Now pay no attention to the A buttons that I have lit up here. Those are just to get my audio out to the second computer that I'm actually recording this all on. And if I turn it off, you'll hear nothing. There you go. So as you can see, it kind of went blank. Okay, now an important consideration when you're sending Skype stuff out is that this B1 here, and also the Hangout-On-Air, the codecs or the compressor does not handle high peaks very well. Now this isn't as much of an issue on Skype or on Hangouts-On-Air if you're in voice mode, but if you're using studio mode, as I'm going to be doing, you might want to right click on the slider, type in -12, because you don't want your peaks going over -12. Okay, for now I'm just going to leave it at 0 until I do the Hangout-On-Air demo. As you can see, I've got the piano is audible, and it will be audible to the Skype caller, and you'll be able to hear them talk and hear them play also, especially if they're using the same kind of setup. There's going to be a file present in the description that you can download that has the settings already in it, even with the labeling. In fact, I'm going to put, as you see, I already put microphone over here instead of hardware input 1, so it says mic. Also, I've gone ahead and made it so that it's an ASIO input. I've made it so that 1 and 1 are both going to here to make it mono. However, if you don't have that utility, simply click the mono button down here, and since I already have it set to mono, this is kind of a little redundant, and so it got louder because I was taking what's already two inputs and mixing them to two inputs. So anyway, way I do that is in the system settings, and you see I set this patch ASIO inputs to strips, and I have 1 and 1 instead of 1 and 2. I have 1 and 1 both going to that strip. Okay, so let's walk through this. We have cantabile with the piano coming through, and it's going to B1. It's going to go out to Skype. My microphone is coming in B1, and that's going out to Skype. Think of B as broadcast. Think of A as audition. You'll notice I'm not auditioning here. I'm just using this to send to the recording. So like I said, ignore these A2s. But the A1 is essential for auditioning or monitoring. And that's being sent out to whatever your device is that you selected here as your A1 device. If you've got an ASIO device, go to the bottom and select the ASIO device, and Voicemeeter will adopt the buffer settings and faster speeds, better latency that device offers. So that's always the way to go if you've already got a good ASIO device interface plugged into your computer. Select the ASIO device and you're off to go. Okay, so my A1's here. I'm monitoring the piano on this. I'm monitoring it and I'm sending it out to Skype or the Hangout. On this end, I'm monitoring the caller coming in, the Skype person, or the Hangout-On-Air. And I'm monitoring them. But you notice I am not sending them back out to themselves. So this is turned off. You don't want to broadcast what they're saying and send it right back out to them so they'll hear an echo. Okay, let's get a little drink of water here and I'll continue the rest. Now, for piano lessons, I recommend that if you have the capability to open up your VST and set the dynamic range lower so that it's always a little bit louder, more of a consistent volume. This is especially useful because the compressors on Skype are pretty terrible, as you're going to hear in a second. Now for the Skype setup, close that. Here's Skype. And you'll want to have the speakers set to the aux VIO. The aux, notice that. This side is the Voicemeeter aux, and that's where you're bringing in the Skype. So your speakers are there, and you test your audio, make sure it's working. And you'll see the meters did work here. So let's just do that again so you can actually see the meter run. And there you have your meters running. Okay? And then your microphone is set just to regular Voicemeeter output, VAIO. Now, this is set up because Skype is not a ASIO thing. This is set up in the Windows audio control panel, okay? Which you get to by right-clicking on your little speaker and selecting playback devices, recording devices. Alright, so notice it just says speakers. It's not necessarily very helpful. I usually rename it Voicemeeter VIO. And that refers to the slider. And since I'm using Voicemeeter Banana, Voicemeeter aux VIO. Well, now I know what the heck I'm talking about here. Okay? And which slider each one of these refers to. So these are the playbacks. They're playing back into these sliders. Alright? So I could even label this cantabile if I wanted to. But that's the Voicemeeter VIO, that one. And that's what I have selected by right-clicking as the default device, which I would select set as default device. Okay, so it's already set as default device. Green check mark. Go to your recording, and it says voice meter output. This is what you're getting. You're using as your microphone right here. Voice meter output VAO. Okay, so that's why you want to have that set up, because what that setting means is that the system sees the B output as this. Whatever goes into this, and you can see the meters running, is what goes out the general output. But we're being very specific actually, so this isn't as important because we specifically selected from the list. Okay, and that's the way. If you would just set default device, then this would be important that it be selected as default device, a little more important. But since Skype and Hangouts-On-Air let you select specific devices, this isn't as important as it normally would be if you didn't have a drop-down list like this, if you only had the choice of default. But with Skype we have that option as well as with the other. Okay, so let's go ahead and make a call. I'm going to go up here and get this out. Let's see. Go to my contacts. Okay, so if you go to your contacts, Skype contacts, and type echo in the search box, you'll see this echo sound test service. Okay, just select that and it'll come up. So let's go ahead and give that a call and see if we hear everything.
Hello, welcome to Skype call testing service. After the beep, please record a message. Afterwards, your message will be played back to you.
Well, we're testing now. Well, we're testing now.
If you are able to hear your own voice,
Oh, yes.
then you have configured Skype correctly. If you hear this message, but not your own voice, then something is wrong with your audio recording settings. Please check your microphone and microphone settings or visit skype.com for more help. Thank you for using the Skype call testing service.
Yeah, you have it. So that's how you verify that your setup's okay. All right? Well, we've pretty much covered the basis of how to get these things set up to work. Just as a quick review, we've set up these sounds so that aux VAO is the speakers, and that's this one right here, aux VAO, and the microphone is the B, which is this one right here. You could even call this under recording to remind yourself. You could call it voice meter B1 output. Okay, just remind yourself. You could call this one aux B2. Okay, and then you remember in the future which was the recordings, whether you use them or not. At least they'll be named that way. Okay, so now let's do a quick covering of the of how to set up a Hangout-On-Air, because the audio is much better. I don't know if you really could tell how much better from that recording, but this Skype is pretty rusty sounding when you're actually playing music. So let's really quickly bring up Internet Explorer, and I'll show you how to set up a Hangout-On-Air. You open up your YouTube channel. Let's get a little water here. Dry as can be here. Okay, so click on your icon up in the upper right hand corner and select Creator Studio. And this will load in. And then click on the left, click on Live Streaming. And then in that, click on Events, not Stream Now. You want Events. And you see here's a Google Hangouts on Air stream that I'd already created. And I can rejoin anytime because I never actually used it to broadcast, so I never hit the Stop Broadcast button. So long as you don't hit the Stop Broadcast button, this stays there forever. But we're going to first create a new live event so you can see how that's set up. So here on the right side, click on New Live Event. Give it a name. And you can say today, now, or you can set it for a day in the future, and a time in the future. Great way to schedule classes, I suppose. I'm going to make this private, or optionally unlisted. Only you can view privates now. Unlisted is probably a better option, so that you can, if you do record it, you can share this with your students and they can watch the lesson. And we're going to use right here quick using Google Hangouts on Air. Okay? Now there's really no advanced settings you have to worry about. You could, because you're going to keep it unlisted, it won't be findable in the search. It's only people that have the URL will be able to find this. So at that point, you're ready to go. Just click on Go Live Now. And we're not really going to go live now. We're just going to set it up. So this shows up. Here's my lovely old picture. And you see it kind of sets things up. There's a little timer here. And these controls appear. You want to click on the gear at the top here. There's no camera because I'm not using one. And here's where a default's set up. Again, we can choose our microphone, okay? And we're using look at the labeling, voice meter B1 output. So we're going to use that as our output. And our speakers, we're going to set as the voice meter VAIO aux. So there it is, the aux. Because remember, we're using the aux side for the Skype and the Hangouts return sound, because that's set up to not return itself back to the caller. And you can play a test sound, and obviously it's going to work. But here's the real secret sauce for all this. Voice here is a similar codec to what the Skype is using, and it's really horrible for music content. But it is fantastic in studio mode. Okay? Studio mode is what prefers to have a -12 dB peak. If you go over that, it starts to distort a little bit, sound a little squashed. It does compress a bit and distort even, but so keep it at that -12 and you're good. Okay, so here we have that. And again, we want to set up voice meter. Since we're doing this, I'm going to set it up so that our B1 output, right click and type in -12. And now our peaks, we don't have to worry about them going over -12. We're good to go. Now notice up here it says off air. We are not broadcasting, and we're not recording, and we're not creating a video. It's still off air. To start a video, you would have to hit the Start Broadcast button. So you can do that. However, if you never really want to record your videos and you just want to use this similar to Skype to contact your students, then you would simply leave that button alone and you would copy this link up here. Copy that and save it in Notepad somewhere. So we'll go ahead and get Notepad. Here we are. We'll save that URL because we can send this URL to anybody who we want to join this Hangout with us. So we'll go ahead and say piano lessons URL and save it right to my desktop. There we go. Okay, so this is what you would then copy and paste into an email that you send to your students. And you would send them that link, and they'd be able to come in here and come right back in to the Hangout, okay, just by pasting it in their browser. So to prove that to ourselves, we'll hit that. But before I do, down here in the bottom, if you do decide to record, down here on the bottom you see a links button. Click on that and it shows the link of where the video will be in the future. Okay, that if you do record, this is where the video will be. And there's also a YouTube embed code already created for you to embed it into a browser, a web page. So that you could have a special web page created, like in WordPress or something, that's private only to your students, where you can keep the recordings of their videos so they can see past videos right there. It's an option, it's not required. Again, you can use this just like Skype and never record. So let's go ahead, we've copied that the URL from up top here, and we'll just close this down. Hit the red phone and it shuts it. Okay, so let's go ahead and open a new page here, as if we were the student, and paste this in. And, oh, it's not working. Oh, this might be something that I pasted it in twice. Oops, come on. There we go. I believe I might have. Here we go. Yes, I double hit the Control V button. So it has this, comes up. Sometimes you have to click it. You have to agree to the, okay, I got it. You click, that you've read the information, by the rules. Click that, and bingo, now you're in. And then you hit join, and you joined the Hangout, or your student has joined the Hangout. Same settings are here. You can have them make sure that they've got their setup going on and that they're not using voice. You have to switch to studio every time you use this. So switch to studio, save, and then if you want to start the broadcast, you can. But as soon as they show up, you can both talk to each other, and a regular Hangout type of thing happens, except it has the option of that studio setting, which Hangouts, regular Hangouts, do not have this option. Only Hangouts-On-Air have this option. So that's why I'm bothering to show you all of this. Okay, so there you have it. The other place that you can find this, and you can hang it up. Again, this URL is going to stay there as long as you don't start the broadcast and start it again. Another place you can see it is, you see I saved this as piano lessons. So I could come back to my live streaming events, and it shows up in the list, and I just say start Hangout-On-Air to get myself in, or I can paste in that link. Okay, and so let's leave. This will stay there until you actually start a broadcast and then stop the broadcast. This link will remain valid. If you start a Hangout and you get the broadcast going, oh, try it again. There we go. And abide by the rules, join. Okay, so if you start a broadcast and you're recording, and you click the phone and forget to stop the recording, it will continue recording for, I believe it's 4 hours, and then turn itself off. Okay? So that's just one other thing to keep in mind, that once you start the broadcast, stop it, or it'll record an extra 4 hours of space, and you'll have to edit the darn thing. As soon as you hit start broadcast, it will do some thinking, and then the on-air light will light up here and will light up here, and you'll be on the air, and you'll be recording the lesson. So they'll be able to see everything. They'll be able to see and hear everything that you've done. You can use a webcam and show your piano if you want. You could both do that because this is quite versatile. Lets you add the webcam. Of course, if there's camera found, and set up your voice. Both sides have these options. Okay, to do the setup. Okay, so I think that's covered all the things that I needed to show you to be able to get this to work. If you ever have some of these that you don't use, you can delete them by checking it there and going to Actions Delete. Now you can't do that with the Stream Now type. You actually have to do a stream and record something before you'll be able to delete it from the list here. But we're not using that, we're just using events. So events are erasable, plus you can go into edit. You can change dates. You can, I think there's ways of sending yourself reminders and all kinds of things. Now let's say I set it for tomorrow and save changes. And let's see, I go to advanced settings and back. Oh, I saw where it offered to give me a reminder one time. I don't remember where it was. Let's see. And also notice there's a thing called a live control room. I should mention that. Live control room lets you actually look at the stream in the preview mode before anything has happened. Now, I don't have a camera, so you're not going to see anything, but you would be able to hear it. Then once you're recording, once you're actually broadcasting, when you started broadcast, then this public view of the recording begins. But if you want to check your camera and make sure everything's working to YouTube, you can do that here, okay? So, I don't know why it's giving us a complaint. Probably because, oh, well, I know why. It's because I don't have a camera set up. So, but that's what the so-called live control room does for you. Once you have this set up, you'll be able to go test your settings and everything by looking at them in a live streaming video that's not recording, but it is streaming and showing you what's happening. Okay, well, I think that's gone on long enough. Let's go ahead out of here. There we are. Close that down. And if you have any questions, as usual, if I see a comment come into my comments box, I answer it typically the same day or by the next day. So, really, if you have any questions at all, go right ahead and ask them. And like I said, I'm going to upload a file that has this setup minus these A2 things, which I only needed for this recording. But the exact setup with the names and everything, I'm going to put that on my regular terrybritton.com server and make that available to anybody who needs it, who wants to load the settings. You do that by going to Load Settings here, and it will be called Piano Lessons Video, and just load it in and bingo, you'll be good to go. Okay? Alright, well, thanks a lot for spending all this time with me, and I hope it really was informative and got you moving to where you can have a two-way conversation with music using a host and the fantastic Voicemeeter mixer and either Skype or a Hangout-On-Air. Okay, so that's that. Have fun giving good lessons. Bye-bye.